Looks like it's going to be a quiet Tuesday, and Hasbro's not going to be giving us a Transformer Tuesday. Kind of a shame coming off of all the hype from Transformers BotBots and all the positive reception. But so be it. So instead, what we're going to do today is we're going to do 2 Transformer Slag podcast Patreon listener questions. The reason why we're doing 2 of them, because both of them have something to do with trademarks, and I figure we could cover both of them in one shot here because they have kind of similar questions, and I could kind of tackle them both here. So we got one here from Jesus Prime and the other one from Starlight for 2 of our awesome patrons here on the podcast. And if you want to be like them and support the podcast and let us know we're doing a half-decent job, check out the Patreon below, the pinned comment or the description below. Check out the link and come join us. Got a lot of cool stuff you could get there. I was talking about it yesterday, so I think I'll just skip over what's in the Patreon today, and you could just check it out in the link below. So then, the 2 Patreon listener questions here. We got one, again, the first one from Jesus Prime, and he wants to know, hi, Proto, with all the repaint sublines we've been getting recently, like the Shattered Glass one from Hasbro Pulse, the Diaclone repaints from Select, some Japanese characters like even Twin Cast and Black Zarek, and now the upcoming Velocitron line, it got me thinking, and I wanted to ask, do you think we will ever get a subline of Brave/Yuusha-themed repaints? Like Shadow Maru from the Titans Return 6-shot, or the Geister characters from Studio Series 86 Grimlock, or even Titan Zazorigan from Earthrise Scorponok. Maybe not using the trademark, maybe using not trademarks for all kinds of different trademark reasons, but maybe a close enough color schemes to make those homages clear. Thank you for always sharing your knowledge, Jesus Prime. So that's the first one. And so we'll tackle Jesus's first. The funny thing is when it comes to Yuusha, and I absolutely love the Yuusha Brave stuff, but it's weird because even in Japan, it has kind of a funky history in what is popular because they always try to do throwback Yuusha kind of stuff, even in the Japanese region where it actually aired, where it actually has some kind of cultural significance. And people don't show up to buy it. Yeah, you get like some non-transformable, high-end PVC figures from Gao Geiger and the odd thing also with, let's say, Jay Decker or some of them others. But it's very weird. It's very weird. I don't know. Like when they did the Masterpiece Brave stuff, it sold terribly. And that was X-Kaiser and Dragon Kaiser. So I don't know why they don't really go in that route and why Japan doesn't really like it. I mean, obviously, why they don't go in that route is because the numbers aren't there for profit and to do all the engineering for all that. But why Japan also doesn't, receive it well, I don't know. As for the homages and if there might be a wall or a trademark issue or something like that, there really isn't. It's more just if Hasbro has a mold, would they want to go in that direction? Or even Takara. If Takara has a mold, but now there's more of a cohesion between the two brands. But, if they have a mold, do they want to then use that mold for that homage for something that's kind of niche, even though someone like me might appreciate it? I mean, when you look at it, like you mentioned, the Dino Geists, yeah, you could take those Dinobots, leader classes, and give them the Dino Geist colors, but who would understand that? Me and you would. Maybe a few hardcore Yuusha fans and Brave fans, but there's a huge majority of the Transformer fandom that is going to be like, why is that character orange? I don't get it. Is it a G2 thing? Like, I just see that kind of happening at a leader class price point. Ooh, that's a roll of the dice they probably wouldn't want to do. And even stuff like, out of everything you mentioned, I think 6-shot, for like Shadow Maru from 6-shot, is probably the closest one that's possible. And even then, I feel like they rather do 6-Night. They rather do Great Shot. They rather do anything else before they would do the Brave stuff. It seems weird. And I would dig it. I mean, I own the original Shadow Maru, and he's a pretty cool toy. And you just have to just do the retooling, brand new head sculpt and brand new beast sculpt and stuff like that. It'd be cool. It would be cool. It would be really, really cool. But I just feel like they just don't show interest. I mean, they have that new Brave flavored kind of series in Shike Leon right now in Japan, and that's ridiculously successful. And I think it shows us that they didn't even want to go back to Brave. They rather just kind of forge a new thing, and that one's doing well. I mean, it's not like there hasn't been Brave homages in Transformers, like reverse back to it, because first there's Transformer molds, and those Transformer molds were turned into Brave characters, and then those Brave characters were homaged back into Transformers. There's two that I could think of. One being in the Western side of things, Derek Wyatt obviously brought us over Grandis, excuse me. And from Grandis, we then got Doug Base, or Dag Base, however you want to pronounce it, which came from the Dagwan series. And while didn't get a toy, he was in the animated show, so it technically was the first animated debut of the reverse-engineered Brave homage color schemes, and technically the first time something Brave, even in a limited capacity, was on American television, I guess. And then the other one I could think of is King Bolt, which was they did a Minicon repaint of the Minicon Prowl mold and gave it that X-Kaiser kind of color scheme. Doesn't really look like it in robot mode, but the alt mode, it's more apparent just by the way it looks and everything. And that was a limited kind of release, and no one really cared, unfortunately. It's just kind of like it was on the radar and nobody cared because it didn't really look that great. In all honesty, it's all in the alt mode in a lot of ways. I mean, it's there. Like you could go like, hey, Death Gary gun. Like if we ever do get a Sky Gary, if there is going to be a repaint, Death Gary gun really is the only repaint you could go with, which is that red and orange kind of color scheme. So, there's certain characters that if they finally do get an update in the modern era, there is so little amount of repaints you could do from it that you kind of have to fall on the Brave stuff. Kind of the same thing happens with Deathsaurus. If you do a Deathsaurus, right? I mean, it's really red Geist or bust. You know what I mean? Like you either do the red repaint or I don't know. There's just not much else you could do. But even Deathsaurus, I feel, is something that won't be a brand new mold. They'll probably just retool him from something, and then that'll be the end of it. It's sad because I just feel that the momentum isn't there, unfortunately. And I would love it personally. I would love it. I love, X-Kaiser. I love Firebird. I love Jay Decker. I'm not a big fan of Goldran personally, and Dagwan's okay, I guess. And Gal Geiger is, top tier. Mike Gain too. How could I forget Mike Gain? But it's just like, it gets to a point where it doesn't matter how much I love that stuff. There's just certain things that if it's not even selling in Japan properly, how could you sell it to us? Like it gets really tough. So, I mean, I hope it does happen. I mean, again, like I think that if there is going to be a chance, if like I had to put a top 3 that does have a chance of something, it would probably have to be a Deathsaurus mold. It would have to be, if we ever do get a Sky Gary, something. And then I guess we'll throw in the 6-shot, just in case if they don't want to do the other 3 6 changers in that process. I don't know. That's kind of the way I see it, unfortunately. And then the second one we have here, we got one from Starlight 4, and he says, I always get thrown off by the My Little Pony avatar. Hey, Protoman, I have a Patreon listener question. I want to know why there has not been a Earth Mode Hot Rod figure. Is it a trademark issue? Because I love that Armada design, and I'd love to see it return. Thanks, Proto. Well, if you don't count that Generations one that we got, I mean, that was kind of a modern version. That wasn't terrible, that one. It wasn't too bad. I kind of liked that one. It got some decent repaints out of it when we got that Dion repaint. I think we'll get it. I mean, it's not a trademark issue. Hasbro protects that Hot Shot trademark quite vividly. I feel like we get a new Hot Rod toy every 6 months or something. I mean, just look at Rescue Bots in the past 2 years. Had tons of Hot Shot stuff. And then we got that Earth Defense Hot Shot from the Generation Selects even. And I think that the only reason why it wasn't the traditional car mode is just because they looked at that Hound mold and went, what could we do with it? And someone's like, I could do a Hot Shot out of that. So that's kind of more what happens. And I think also because Hot Shot is one of those trademarks that it could fall onto a lot of different designs. Like you could do a lot of different things with a Hot Shot trademark. It could be the RID Spy Changer from 2001. So you could kind of do that kind of thing if you want to lean into it. It could be either the Armada Earth Mode design that you mentioned in 2 different color schemes, or the Energon color scheme. design with 2 different color schemes. Again, the yellow or the silver. So right away you fall on that. Then you have the 2 different designs from the Cybertron line, whether it be the original car mode, aka Excellion, as he was known in Galaxy Force, or the Cybertron defense design, which is that one that, again, we got through Hound and that kind of tank kind of thing, or not tank, but like an SUV / Hummer kind of thing going on. And then you got the new Rescue Bots design that has had, I'd have to count probably like 7-8 toys in the past 2 years. So that Hot Shot trademark is safe. Don't worry. When is it going to probably see that Earth mode design again? Specifically that Armada one? When the opportunity presents itself. That's kind of, it's the same thing how we're hearing the rumors of getting Armada Blur if we get Point Blank, the Target Master. Like sometimes it's just really the opportunity if the mold is there. I mean, look, they did it in the past. They did a standalone, sculpted from the ground up, Generations Hot Shot. They probably had the data and then realized he didn't sell very well. And then they never repainted it again until the Transformer Collector Club decided to take that mold and go, hey, we'll do Dion. And I don't know how that worked well. I'd have to ask Pete Sinclair or Jesse how that one sold. But either way, the point is that it'll come at some point. I don't know when, but it'll come at some point. But it's definitely not going to be because of a trademark issue, because there is plenty of Hot Shots, and there's going to be plenty more as the future comes. So I hope those answers those 2 questions for both Jesus Prime and Starlight 4. And again, if you want to be like those 2 awesome people and join the Patreon and help support the podcast, and just want to hang out in the Discord that we have exclusively, or get your name in the end credit scroll, or depending on what tier, you might even get a little something in the mail, or on the higher tiers, ask a Patreon listener question. Again, patreon.com/Protoman, or check the pinned comment or the description below. And thanks everyone for listening, and thanks everyone for enjoying, and we'll talk to you again really, really soon.